Welcome back. As tax day approaches, I wanted to reiterate, and I'm going to show some highlights of the Business Ownership Summit, where we interviewed Michael Reeder and we talked about the advantages of owning a business. I truly believe everyone should own a small business. If you're married, maybe your spouse could run the business. You can do it collectively. There's more absentee business models where you can still keep your corporate job and then create cash flow, create legacy, build equity in this business, and also get some great tax offsets. So I'm going to flash back to some clips from the Business Ownership Summit. I'm also going to link the full episode below. I truly believe 2024 should be the year you look into business ownership, and you probably have been thinking about it for a long time. So this is hopefully going to really prompt you to kind of light a fire. We have Business Ownership Launch coming May 11th. I'll link below for that too, or you can go to businessownershiplaunch.com and RSVP. That's a workshop, interactive workshop on a Saturday, where the goal of that is like an incubator to get you into business ownership within the next 60 to 120 days after attending. So we're doing monthly events. Sometimes we're doing 2 or 3 events every month, at least 1 per month. So get involved. You can go back and watch a lot of our videos. Look, I can help you with the SBA financing. I can help you find an ideal business, an ideal franchise, whether it's a franchise startup or a resale. There's lots of opportunities out there, and I just want you to open your mind. And also, if you're paying a lot in taxes, you're doing yourself a disservice by not understanding these strategies and why everyone should own a small business. We're also in the process of writing a book. The working title is called Paycheck to Power, and that's really about why everyone should own a small business. So that's my calling. We're going to help 10,000 aspiring entrepreneurs become successful business owners over the next 10 years. That's our mission. And if you follow the channel, we're gonna keep preaching the mission to try and help as many people as we can get into the game. With so many boomers retiring, there's a great amount of businesses that are going to be hitting the market over the next 10, 15 years. Why not go out there and look for those business opportunities, or why not look at franchise models? So open up your mind, utilize SBA financing, which is the best financing tool for small business owners here in the States. You can get up to 90% of total project costs financed with SBA financing. So there's never been a better time to look into business ownership, and not just look. I mean, I would dive into it and really hone in and find a business, some sort of sector or business industry you're passionate about, or that you think you can run and you like the industry for what it can do for wealth creation for you. So anyways, without further ado, we're going to cut into some of the highlights of the video, and I'll see you on the next episode.
So my name is Michael Reeder. I'm a CPA. I'm the owner of Reeder CPA Group. I now own the firm that hired me out of college and switched the name to Reeder CPA Group. 37 years old, been doing this for about 13 and a half years. And I've carved out a niche for myself as a CPA in the franchise and business buyer world for approximately the last 9 years. So, rounded up to a decade. And so let's just go into what you were talking about depreciation. That's a good topic to riff on for a little bit. So it all comes so in this context, we're talking about, there are a lot of people here in the audience that are W-2 corporate employees, as you mentioned, and so what's important to understand is that the Internal Revenue Code is written for the self-employed taxpayer. The Internal Revenue Code is written for the business owner. It's not written for the W-2 employee, whether it's corporate or not-for-profit or government. Just W-2 employee, there's really not much that you can do from a tax perspective other than max out your qualified accounts like your 401k, IRA, HSA, flex savings plan, et cetera. And so when it comes to business ownership, and let's say you're going to do a startup, right? And it could also be an existing business that's cash flowing, but there's this thing called depreciation of fixed assets. So whether it's a vehicle or a piece of machinery or furniture, a lot of leasehold improvements, a lot of these are are assets that are hard assets or fixed assets. And so because of depreciation rules in the Internal Revenue Code, there is the allowance for what's known as accelerated depreciation, and it allows you to write off either the majority or all of the big ticket fixed asset in the year of purchase. And so, for example, if you're starting up a business now, and you're starting from scratch, you're going to invest in a franchise, for example, that you're going to ramp up from zero. So you're going to start out, you're going to be in the red, because you're starting revenue from zero, but you have startup expenses that you're incurring immediately. And a lot of those expenses commonly are, a vehicle is a common one. And if it's a business that has an actual brick and mortar, then you're going to have a build out and furniture and fixtures and machinery, equipment, et cetera. And so due to the combination of being in startup mode, coupled with the fact of having these fixed assets that qualify for depreciation, you're going to build up this loss. Okay. And this loss for tax purposes. And, like we're in March, this is, and then if you ramp up your business, amazingly over the next 10 months, then God bless you, you still have 10 months of this year to actually have a profit even after depreciation. But let's just assume that, it's going to be a loss because it's startup mode, because it's the startup year. And how you're structured, see, there's so much here, and I have to make sure I don't rabbit hole too much, because now it's well, how are you structured? What's your entity structure for your small business? So the key here is to be structured as a flow-through entity, right? So that flow-through entity is an LLC or an S corp primarily, right? So whether you're taxed as a sole proprietor LLC or a partnership LLC or an S corp LLC or just a regular S corp, in any of those, or just a regular partnership, in any of those contexts, the profit or loss from the business is going to flow through to and be taxed on or reported on the personal tax return. So I'll bring it in for a landing. Startup business, due to the combination of startup and accelerated depreciation of fixed assets, you have $100,000 loss, all right, after factoring all those things in. And it's an ordinary loss, right? And so we're going to talk about ordinary versus, we're going to talk about non-passive, aka ordinary, or passive. Then we'll talk about real estate investor versus real estate professional. We'll dive into all that. But in this context, you're going to have that $100,000 loss is going to get reported on your personal tax return, and it's going to net against your $300,000 W-2. So now your AGI is $200,000, but you have enough tax paid in on $300,000. So you're either going to get, you're going to either owe less in tax, or you're going to get a much bigger refund. And you can do that because of this business loss that nets against your corporate W-2, your day job.
Meet Bo Eckstein, the driving force behind Business Ownership Coach, unlocking the path to business ownership. Visit www.businessownershipcoach.com. Thrive with Business Ownership Coach.
Guys, Bo Eckstein here. If you enjoyed what you saw, please subscribe to this channel. We talk all things financing. I've been in the lending industry for over 20 years, and I'm happy to answer your questions and provide great content.